Hi, I'm Dave.
Hi, I'm Robin.
Welcome
to Schoolwide
Download.
All right, welcome back to Schoolwide Download. This is season 2, Beyond the Lesson. I'm Robin.
And I'm Dave. And I think today's episode will also speak to a lot of people that tune in. And, you know, this is something that sometimes we kind of whisper about, or we keep it under our breath, if you will. And oftentimes don't say it out loud. But I'm going to say it in two different ways. How do you advocate for yourself?
Yeah.
And how do you avoid burnout? Or in other words, if you're a person that's always been a yes person,
Me.
how and when is it okay to say no? And conversely, if you're always a no person,
Right.
we're going to suggest you probably should say yes every now and then.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So, you obviously at education, comes with not just teaching students. I mean, there are the after-school obligations, the before school, the
voluntary, involuntary, voluntold.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Losing
Yes.
plan.
Yep.
Adding there's so many things that go into just without just saying you're just teaching. So there is that time of burnout, but you have to be very careful to toe that line because you want to be able to advocate for yourself, but not come off negative, if that makes sense. You know, like when you go in like the teacher's lounge and everybody's just like kind of complaining and me, and it's like that to me is negative, and that's not advocating. That's more like
right. And what I want to make is a distinction between, I do think if in the setting you just mentioned, if you're in the teacher's lounge all the time, constantly negative,
right,
that the perception is you're a complainer.
Yeah.
However, I do want to say, sometimes you can go to the teacher's lounge, and sometimes I think it is a healthy thing to vent.
Oh, yeah,
like
absolutely.
if you're frustrated,
Very good point.
something didn't go well.
Right.
Hey, Robin, you have this student or this group of kids third bell. I have them fifth bell.
That
Do you have this?
collaboration piece,
So there. I believe there's value in venting and sharing with the intent. Hey, can you help me? But that's not the same as somebody that's.
Can you be a person to say no?
Yeah.
And still be perceived as a team player? Because I'm a yes person. Yeah. I say yes too much. I think now at this point in my life, I've learned to say no, and it's still, when I do it, I feel terrible. So, I mean, I always wanted to be seen as like that team player. And I think we're probably really talking to newer teachers. If you're new to this profession, you're probably like encountering this, like feeling like either A, you've got to say yes to everything because you're new, and you want to be perceived as that team player and building
and you're teaching content for the first time.
Yeah,
you're developing lessons for the first. So you're busy.
Right.
You are busy.
You're that new teacher saying no all the time, and your fellow coworkers are like, yeah, that person's not
He or
a
she
team
needs
player.
to step up.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of who we're talking to. I mean, now that's not to say that our veteran teachers can't hear this episode and go, I can say no sometime, or I can say yes.
Yeah. And one of the things I think we'll bring up maybe a couple times throughout this episode is, if you're fortunate enough, which I think many first-year teachers do, this is a great opportunity to interact with your mentor.
Yeah. We were mentors.
Both of us as being former mentors, the expectation was it's an open door.
Right.
Let us know when you're frustrated. How can we help you? How can we support you? Because your frustration is not unique, but it's going to benefit you to have that conversation with a mentor. So that's going to probably come up a couple of times. But I want to start with a story.
Okay.
A quick one, just a short one, but it kind of plays into something that leads to advocacy. But I can remember my first year of teaching, there was another middle school social studies teacher. He's been retired for a while, Dean Zimmerman. I'll never forget, he was kind of an intimidating guy.
Yeah.
I would quietly walk past his door to get to my door. And
like you were kind of intimidated.
Yeah, it was kind of like I'm walking by. And he said, hey, come here. And I thought, I didn't think it was going to be like, I don't think he was going to hurt me or anything, but I was like, oh, shoot, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And he said, hey, I've noticed a couple things. I said, okay. He's like, well, and I think at the time, our first bell started at like 7:25. it was like maybe 6:30, 6:45. So
Yeah.
to date myself at the time, my district in the building, the 7-8 building, we had 2 copiers.
Oh,
So you literally had to sign up for a time to use the
wow.
copier. So the workaround was you either got there early or you stayed late.
Yeah.
So what he said to me was like, I've noticed something, Clark. He's like, you're here early and you're staying late. Can't do both.
Oh.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. He's like, no, he goes, I'm just telling you, you're going to burn out. He's like, just plan it so that you're either here early, which
Okay.
you are, right, which is fine, or you stay late. I'm just telling you, if you do both, you really increase the chances of exhaustion and potentially burnout on this job.
That's really good advice, because I think
Pretty simple.
I think we're similar in our teaching. Like, we were, I think, overachievers. Like I was the same way. I would either get there early, stay after. I said yes. I wanted to do all the things. But that's really good advice.
Yeah.
Because you're advocating for yourself. Like you're saying, I need time for myself to kind of like decompress and get ready for the next day. And if you're there all the time, you don't get that.
I just always felt much better prepared if I was in my room, organized,
I
thought the
agree.
day through. But then there are days like maybe you have a monthly staff meeting or you've got an IEP meeting that you know it's going to be after school. So maybe on those days,
Right.
you stay late and prepare so that you don't have to come early. It was just not bad advice.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I think there's just that huge, again, difference between complaining and advocating. The teacher that's complaining about losing their plan time, or, we are in buildings now and I'm a mentor and I coach. And when I go in, sometimes the only time I can meet with a teacher is at their plan time because I have the whole building. And so, even though I know I'm technically taking their plan, but we're still working on something, on their craft to help them be better.
Correct.
I view that as still their plan. And not that I would do that every single time, but sometimes I think it's needed. And I hope that teachers understand that, that's going to happen. You're going to have to give up your plan sometimes.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, that's my next spin around. Are you always using your plan for the right things? You know what I mean? I think it's just one of those things that it's just, don't complain about it. Now, if it's something that you feel like, okay, I've lost my plan 4 times out of the week this week, that's advocating. That's saying, hey, I need this time.
And on a similar note, if you are struggling or you do need some assistance, silence is not going to benefit you.
Right.
You do need to share. And once again, turning the switch or flipping the lens to a mentor teacher, as a mentor, make sure that new educator feels like you're available and accessible. And with respect to the planning time, how hard is it as a mentor, to respect that teacher's 45 or whatever their planning time is? They should have your number and you should have theirs.
Right.
So let's have a conversation while you're driving home.
Yeah.
Or just showing
to
that.
At least express it, to say, hey, I'm frustrated, what do I do? And then they can give you that advice. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
One of the best examples I've ever seen of an administrator, she just retired, but she was an administrator for 30 plus years. I've watched that woman take plan to plan for events, the breakfast with the bunny or the Secret Santa shop. And she would ask her teachers,
and it's all important.
You're going to give your plan up today. And no one ever complained because they always knew she was going to give it back to them somehow. She was going to come cover their room so they could have time. She built that trust and culture that there was very little negativity. You didn't have the teacher's lounge where they're complaining about losing their plan. They just trusted her, knew her, and did whatever she said.
And she followed through.
Oh, always. And so that negativity never crept into that building. It's probably one of the best, most well-run buildings I'd ever seen.
And I think when you have that kind of respect between administration and faculty, both ways, those buildings, those are the people that will not hesitate to step up and say, yes, I can help with that. Or, hey, we're having this event at the school on Saturday. Oh, yeah, I'll be there, because they know she takes notes. And that's not for who's better. Or it's just, I will make sure I make it up to you in some capacity.
Yeah.
And it's a fun place to work.
That building, I just as you're talking, that was the building everyone wanted to be at. Everybody wanted their kids at that building because they had all the events. And no one like complained about it, and I think it was really important to say too, if teacher did feel overwhelmed, they could advocate for themselves, and it wasn't a negative thing, that she would listen and then go, you know what, you're right, let me bring it back a little bit, let's give you some time. It was just that balance.
Well, and it's not only from administration to staff, it's also staff to staff. When you know you work with teachers that will help you out, that will provide you with a shoulder to lean on when you need it, or answer a question when you have one. That also, and I can give you my case too, we had very little turnover in my building. And the biggest reason I would say was the cohesive, even though you're in a room teaching by yourself, when you have good relations, and we would do fun activities just to kind of keep everybody's mood light, because sometimes teaching is not easy. And I think the importance of that leads us into what we want to talk about next, which is burnout.
Yeah, I think right there, teacher turnover rate, like a building that doesn't have it, obviously they're doing something right. You can clearly see, and we're in districts, and I can see buildings where the turnover every year, you're losing people. So if you're losing people, why? I mean, I think I'm seeing that more and more.
Well, I think statistically they're saying it used to be if you can make it through your third year, you can make it through your fifth year, then the statistics say you're probably going to be a career educator. What I have seen is a lot of data that says the numbers of teachers that are not making it not only to year 5, but to year 3, or I've had some of my colleagues out in districts
year 1
say, such and such teacher Friday, they just said, I'm done.
Yeah,
What?
As like lifelong educators, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to retire from this career. I'm always amazed, but I'm seeing that more and more. I am seeing year 1, year 2, not making it to year 3 and saying I'm done, and completely making a career change. And so why? What is happening? What is the burnout? You're noticing that they're coming in, they don't want to be there. They've got that Sunday dread where they're like, I cannot go to work. That's a sign. I think the naysayers, when they're super negative about their job, I think that's a warning sign. Because you should be like excited in year 1 and 2.
You should, and you have to come to, it's not always easy to determine what is something that's hard that you're going to learn how to manage, or something that's always going to be something like, I will be completely honest, when I graduated from college, I did not have an education degree. I was a financial planner for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 5. But one thing I learned, maybe 4, I don't know. What I learned was I was not going to be good at that, and I was not going to be so it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be teachers that it's just not the profession that they should have picked, or that's not.
But there shouldn't be that many.
But the numbers are just, I feel like maybe a little bit of advice or a little bit of, coping mechanisms would be something that could make those numbers change a little bit. But that Sunday dread, like we said earlier, if you say yes to too many things, like in my example, you come in early and you stay late. So how do we, can we do to help people stay?
I think you said it earlier, that getting involved with your building. Like if you view your building and your coworkers as family, and you guys can hang out outside of school as well as inside, I think that helps right there. Because, like people that I can think back of, teachers that have burned out quickly, they really weren't connected to the building. They weren't connected to the district.
I'll give you an example. So one of the, some of the years I taught, which actually I was watching a little bit of this last night to get caught up, and I think you watched this too, season 49. Survivor.
Oh yeah.
So we had.
I didn't know which series you were talking about.
So a lot of teachers we used to watch reality shows, and there was a show for a few years called The Mole.
Okay,
I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
So anyways, one of my colleagues said, you know what? As a team building, this is not like a district directive. This is we should play this game. It was so much fun, and if I could interview the teachers that did this, there's about 10 to 15 of us.
That's so fun.
There were days they came to school because there was going to be a mole activity after school.
Yeah.
And then even the teachers that, for whatever reason, did not want to play, and maybe they had kids they couldn't stay. Like so who's out, or who do you think? Like, it was the conversation in the school all the time. Are you the mole, Clark? Are you
And
the
that has
mole?
like nothing to do with like instruction but it helped it. Because I will say, we talk about student retention rate and getting kids in, like being absent. Let's look at teacher absenteeism. Let's look at, if you've got a building where the teachers are out all the time, they don't enjoy their job probably. But if you are into this game and you guys are like working, like trying to figure out, you're not going to miss work. Like, you're going to want to be there.
And if anybody's watching this episode on YouTube, I was the mole, and the other 2 times I wasn't the mole, I won.
I could see that, actually. I could totally see that.
I got really lucky.
I just love it's like
it was
competition or like that competitiveness and having it. Like, we used to have
the students would even say,
that's what I was gonna
the students knew all about it. Oh, Mr. Clark, are you the mole? Like, who do you think it is? Who's still left? Who's out?
We had like a lunchroom, a gold spatula, and it was whoever could. I forget, it was like whoever could, we took turns covering lunch duty, and of course nobody wants to cover lunch duty. It's like the worst.
I did it for 10 years
Oh,
straight.
but it's one of the worst. Like, you just, especially kindergarten, like that's just opening milk. It's like, ugh. But you would get the golden spatula of which teacher had the most fun during lunch duty. And so like you would want to cover it, number 1, and number 2, you would have fun with it. So kids had fun. Behaviors were down, and then they would award it each week, like which teacher did the best. The kids loved it, the teachers loved it, and it was just like fun.
Well, speaking of things that are golden, when I was teaching, we used to have a kind of like a mockumentary scenario, or a very sarcastic award.
Yeah.
We spray painted a movie reel gold, and at the end of the year, that was given to the teacher that the staff thought showed the most movies and videos in class.
Oh, that's calling them out. That's great, though.
I got it one year.
Did you? Did
and
you
it was
show
like,
any movies?
No.
Oh.
I was set up. At least I don't know.
But that's fun. So what we're saying is, all of these things, obviously we remember, and it's fun. So bringing that fun and bringing that like culture and that positive is just going to help with that burnout, because you're connected. You want to be there. You're having fun with your friends.
So I guess one thing to kind of, as we wind down, what are the signs of burnout? So like, if an educator, whether they're a veteran, mid-career, new educator, like, is there something we can tell them to look for? Like, or how do you know you're in it?
Well, one of the things that literally just runs all over me as a mentor, and I just, if I'm mentoring you, I'm sorry, because how about just don't do this? Don't tell me you're not going to check your email, like after a certain point. Now, 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, family time, like, I'm not saying that. I'm talking like you walk out the door at 3:30 and you're like shut down. Because sometimes like, I just, it's a piece of professionalism, even like in the workforce. Like, if you're like in a job that has nothing to do with education, you're expected to check your email.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on our phone, but that's a pet peeve of mine, a little bit. So I think that does tell me a little bit, like if somebody says, you know what, it's after my 3:30 time, I'm done. I think that to me gives me a little red flag of like, you're already kind of checking out.
Well, and I think you're setting yourself up for making your job harder. What if there was an email that the teacher across the hall said, hey, I'm not going to make it tomorrow? Yeah. Like, there could be something important. What if
it's an email to say, like, everybody wear red tomorrow?
Yeah.
And you walk in and you've got purple.
Or free food in the teacher's lounge.
Candy. I mean, there's all kinds of emails that can come later in the evening.
So, however, there are other times when, you can, I don't want to say no, but kind of advocate for yourself. Okay. So, for example, you're going to be in a meeting with students and parents, and you really feel like you would feel more comfortable if you spoke up for yourself and another faculty member joined you. And this isn't necessarily an association, just your own comfort. Yeah. You're allowed to advocate for an admin joining your meeting, or another teacher or a staff member. The other thing too is, just kind of use a little bit of common sense. If your building has 7 committees and you're on 6 of them, Robin, that would be me. Probably 2 or 3 too many. Yeah. But if you're not on any of them, I think you might want to reflect and think, I need to be active. In addition to the classroom, I need to be part of the fabric of this building. I think that's also, like, if you are a seasoned or veteran teacher and you are a mentor, or you're just,
and you're noticing a couple people that aren't on any of these committees, that's a red flag too. If they're not joining in, then it's easier for them to not be there.
And there are other times when you can maybe in other environments where it'll be interpreted differently.
Yeah.
But if you walk into that, you mentioned it before, into that teacher's lounge, and you get up at the table and start to make your speech about your pending martyrdom because of how much you do, that's probably not how to advocate. Everybody is working hard. Everybody has challenges. Have a conversation. Talk to your mentor about things. In the faculty lounge, ask questions. See what's working for other people. There's ways to have that conversation and for it not to be a negative thing every time you walk in there.
And I honestly, typically you and I can debate back and forth, but this is one that I think that we pretty much see eye to eye. I don't think we're saying that if you say no once in a while, you're not considered a team player, but you should say yes once in a while.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No.
Don't say yes to everything like what I tend to do, but you really, it's not only is it going to help you, but it's going to make you feel like you're part of the team, which is going to build that culture, that positivity, and you will love your career and your placement. It makes such a difference.
Yeah. And I think if you can add to your daily routine through committees, through different interactions, through, like I said, we played a simulated game show together. I think it makes some of the parts that are so difficult that can be mentally and physically taxing.
Because it is hard.
It is. There is no question about it. This profession is not easy.
Right.
So if you involve yourselves by saying yes to some other teams, you get to see your colleagues in a different light. If it's student facing, you get to see your students in a different light. You get to know a little bit, and then I think it helps to rebuild or firm that foundation of positive relationships with students, teachers, staff, administration.
It's all hand in hand,
It just makes this job a little bit easier.
And I think if you're that person that is struggling right now in the classroom and you feel like we're talking to you by saying you should say yes to some more things, maybe ask yourself, why are you saying no? Why are you not connected? Do you have a mentor? Maybe that's your advocacy. Maybe you need to advocate that you do need somebody to help you, to mentor you, because I'm telling you right now, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to do all this work and then just walk away from a career because you didn't advocate for yourself to ask for help.
And if you feel like you're drowning, but you're hearing us and you want to be more involved, maybe in that conversation with yourself, or better yet, with a mentor. So what's one thing I could do, or one thing I could say yes to, that's going to help me long term?
Absolutely.
Or then if you're a Robin and it's the opposite, hey, what's one thing maybe I should...
It's okay to say no.
Yeah,
you
step
can't
away
say,
from...
Yeah, and it does make you, it is liberating, it makes you feel a little bit better. So I think what we're saying is if you are struggling and you are not connected and that burnout is real for you, look and see what could you do differently. Could you be a part of something in your building? Could you ask for help? And then if you're that person that's drowning because you're saying yes to all the things, maybe step back from something. Again, communication is key. That mentor, I think, is makes a big deal.
And to kind of wrap things up, if you're a mid-career or a late-career educator, and you obviously don't have a mentor at this point in time, it's your colleagues. Or if you've got a good relationship, which hopefully you do with your administrator, hey, I'm doing this, and this. I just feel like I'm burning out. It's manifesting with me not being as happy in my classroom, or maybe I'm lashing out at students, or I'm just, what's something I need? So it's all about having that conversation. And more often than not, you'll reap a benefit from talking about it.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. So thanks for joining us.
And don't forget to subscribe on whatever platforms you choose to listen to, and like and subscribe on YouTube. See you in the next episode.